I'm sitting in this office, tied up like a criminal, fully expecting to get my teeth kicked in. But the guy in charge just pulls out a pill and goes, "Here, eat this, you'll feel better." I'm sorry, what? "Look, I got nothing against you personally," he says. "Tying you up is just procedure." Okay, that's surprisingly reasonable. I mean, I did just beat the living daylights out of the Holy Maiden, so I figured the welcome wagon would involve a lot more punching and a lot less medicine. But hey, if he wanted me dead, he wouldn't need to poison me. I'm already half dead from that fight. So I swallowed the pill. And it worked. Pain went down like 3 notches. This guy's all right. Then a couple of guards showed up. "Whose clan?" I stood up like a gentleman. "The officer helped me, so I'm not going to cause problems for him." The guards reached for my arms, and I hit them with the classic, "I can walk myself. Thanks." And for some reason, they just let me. I look like I got run over by a carriage twice, but apparently I've still got enough big energy that grown men listen when I talk. Good to know. Meanwhile, on the other side of campus, the Holy Maiden woke up from her nap with the Pope himself taking care of her. And the first thing out of her mouth? "Where's clan? I want revenge. Girl, you just lost. Read the room." The Pope basically told her, "Yeah, maybe stop picking fights with people." And she got all pouty and sad about it. Then she switched to full training arc mode. "Get me the best teachers. I'm gonna train and destroy him." And the Pope? He's sitting there smiling. Because apparently me beating up his precious Holy Maiden was exactly the motivation she needed. This man is playing 4D chess with his own students' emotions, and I'm the unwitting pawn that worked perfectly. Then the Pope came to see me. Now, normal people see the Pope and immediately drop to their knees. Me? I just stood there staring at him like he's a museum exhibit. And honestly, the man is stupidly handsome. Golden hair, perfect face, this gentle smile that makes you want to trust him with your life savings. But also he's like 2 meters 20 tall. This isn't a Pope. This is a final boss in priest clothing. But here's where things got wild. He waved his hand, and the ropes just vanished. Poof, gone. Magic Pope powers, I guess. I've heard what happened. It was Xingxin's fault. I apologize on her behalf. I'm sorry. The Pope is apologizing to me? The guy I expected to smite me into next week is saying sorry? This is not how this was supposed to go. I had a whole speech prepared about mercy and being young and foolish. I was ready to BEG. And this golden giant is standing here being reasonable? What is wrong with this school? Ever since I left my garbage family, everyone has been weirdly nice to me. Is King's Academy secretly a daycare run by angels? Your Holiness, I also went too far with the Holy Maiden, so I share the blame. No, you did the right thing. In fact, I want to reward you. You motivated Xingxin to actually try hard for once. I beat up the Holy Maiden, and I'm getting a reward. This is the greatest day of my life. But then came the catch. There's always a catch. Before that, clan, tell me something. What is your real talent? There it is. What do you mean? My talent is stat points allocation. Everyone knows that. Don't play dumb. If your talent was just stat points, there's no way you could have fought evenly against Angel's Soul, a top-tier talent. What else are you hiding? I went quiet for a second. He wasn't wrong. I'd been reading books about talents lately, and apparently other people with the stat points talent can't actually see their stats. They're just blindly distributing points. But I can see everything. Exact numbers, compatibility ratings, the whole dashboard. So I decided to come partially clean. I can see my talent. Like, literally see it. What does that even mean? It means I can see what I'm best at. Everything has a number attached to it. My best element is lightning. My best weapon is the sword. My best side profession is forging. I basically just pulled up my character sheet and started reading it out loud to the Pope. This is either the smartest or the dumbest thing I've ever done. The Pope listened to me describe my talent, and I could literally see the moment his brain went, "Oh, this is valuable." And yeah, he's right. My talent doesn't make me hit harder or shoot fireballs, but it means I never take a wrong path. I always know exactly what to train, what element to pick, what weapon fits me best. No wasted time. No guessing. According to history books, plenty of strong fighters had mediocre talents but mastered their skills so perfectly they could rival S-rank talent holders. So basically, with my cheat sheet vision, I could absolutely compete with the top dogs. The Pope was clearly excited, but I could see him calculating behind that pretty face. He can't just shower me with resources right after I beat up his Holy Maiden. That would look terrible. Xingxin would hate him, and everyone else would talk. So he went with the sneaky route instead. Good talent, kid. I'll invest some extra resources in you, but not too much. You'll have to earn the rest yourself. I nodded like a good boy. Honestly, I came in here expecting to die, and now I'm getting sponsored. 0 complaints from me. Then he handed me a token. This token contains 1,000 years worth of class hours. I'm sorry. 1,000 years of class time? That means I can just waltz up to any top-tier teacher and go, teach me. And they have to do it? Does this man understand what he just handed me? This is like getting an unlimited platinum membership to the world's best gym. Except instead of treadmills, it's combat training from legends. But I could tell the Pope was being careful on purpose. He doesn't want to spoil me rotten like he did with Xingxin. He wants to see what happens when you raise one kid with unlimited pampering versus another kid who has to fight for everything. I'm basically his experiment. Cool. I can work with that. Then he pulled out a medicine bottle. Take this. It'll heal your injuries completely. And by the way, Xingxin will come for you again once she recovers. Make sure you stay ahead of her. He said that last part with this look. This knowing, meaningful smile. And that's when it clicked. This golden giant wants me to be Xingxin's permanent rival. He wants me to keep beating her so she stays motivated to get stronger. I'm not just a student to him. I'm a training tool for his favorite disciple. The Pope is playing both sides and somehow making everyone benefit. This man is terrifying. I took the medicine bottle, nodded politely, and got out of there. Walking back to my room, Milia saw me and froze. I looked like someone had used me as a punching bag, which, yeah, basically accurate. Master, what happened to you? Training. Got a little rough. Normal stuff. No way I'm telling her the truth. I'm about 70% sure she's not a spy at this point, but that's not 100%. And even if she isn't, what good would it do? She'd just worry. Go fill the bath for me. She hesitated. Master, can you even take a bath right now? You look like, I know what I look like. I'll be fine. My body, my rules. She went off to heat the water, and that's when I pulled out the Pope's medicine bottle. 10 little white pills inside. I popped one. The effect was instant. This cool sensation spread through my entire body and my wounds started closing up in real time. Scabs formed, then just fell off when I touched them, leaving nothing but faint white lines. Church medicine is no joke. 1 pill and I went from war casualty to minor scratches. I've got 9 more of these bad boys. I could use them later, or I could sell them and probably make a fortune. By the time Milia came back, the wounds were gone, but I was still covered in dried blood, so she didn't notice anything weird. I slipped into the bath and sank into the warm water like a king returning to his throne. Milia waited outside the door, clearly still worried. What is it? I called out, sounding as lazy and unbothered as possible. Master, do you want me to scrub your back? You know what? Yeah. I got beat half to death today, came home, healed myself with magic church pills, and now I'm soaking in a warm bath. I deserve this. Let the maid do her job. Milia tiptoed in, all careful and nervous, but then she saw my body and just froze. All the blood was gone thanks to the bath water, and underneath was just me, clean, lean, and apparently very easy on the eyes based on how red her face just turned. She was trying so hard not to look, and failing so hard at not looking. So handsome, she whispered. Girl, I can hear you. She also noticed that all my wounds were gone, which probably confused her since she literally saw me covered in blood 5 minutes ago. But she didn't ask questions. Smart girl. I turned my back to her, and she finally remembered why she came in. She grabbed the towel and started scrubbing, all shaky and nervous. And apparently she's also noticed that I've been getting better looking lately. Which tracks. My stats keep going up, so I guess my appearance is leveling up too. Then the scrubbing stopped. I was about to ask what happened when I caught her in my peripheral vision, and this girl was leaning in and sniffing me, like a creep. Apparently I smell good now too. What is happening to my body? I wanted to call her out so bad, but if I did, she'd probably die of embarrassment on the spot. So instead I just casually said, Why'd you stop? She jumped. I could practically hear her heart explode. She checked if my eyes were still closed. They were, because I'm a merciful master, and let out this tiny sigh of relief. And nothing, master. I was just washing the towel. Sure you were. Sure you were. After that she didn't try anything else and finished the job properly. I got out, had dinner, and went to bed. Meanwhile, Milia apparently went back to her room, crawled under her blankets, and had a full mental breakdown about what she did. What was I thinking? Am I crazy? But he smelled so good. Should I go watch him sleep? Then she immediately shut that idea down. Good, good. We are not going down that road. Instead, she made a much more reasonable decision. I'll just take care of him so well that he can't live without me. Honestly, that's a solid strategy. I respect the hustle. Right before I fell asleep, the system pinged me. Congratulations. You've received 1 luck attribute point. Luck? I love luck. That's the invisible hand that just quietly makes everything go my way. More of that, please. Next morning, I could feel it immediately. My body was different. I pulled up my stats. Strength, 48. Agility, 42. Constitution, 44. Spirit, 37. Everything went up by 2 or 3 points. And my level jumped to 13. All from that one fight with Xingxin. Life or death battles really are the fastest way to level up. If I spent a whole year fighting for survival in the wilderness, I'd come back looking like a completely different person. Then I suddenly remembered Milia's little sniffing incident and felt my face get hot. But honestly, I get it. We're both at that age where you start noticing the opposite gender. It's normal. Totally normal. I forced myself back to sleep. When I got up for real, breakfast was amazing. Better than usual, with actual plating. Milia arranged the food like it was a restaurant dish. And she was standing right there, staring at me with these big, hopeful eyes, basically begging for a compliment. Her gaze was so intense I literally could not ignore it. Breakfast is good today. You're improving. The way her face lit up, you'd think I just gave her a medal. She looked like she couldn't believe I noticed. All that effort, totally worth it in her mind now. After eating, I headed to class with Quinn as usual. I'm not switching teachers yet. We've built up a real connection and I don't want to throw that away. But tonight, I'm going to use that token from the Pope to find a proper forging instructor. Nothing too fancy, maybe a mid-level forge master. I've barely started learning, so getting someone too elite would just mean me asking baby questions to a genius. That feels like a waste. During our sparring session, Quinn was making this face like, this kid got stronger again. Poor guy's probably wondering how much longer he can even keep up as my teacher. On my way home after training, I ran into Saga again. She was clearly waiting for me on purpose. And I gotta say, she looked good, way better than before. Her skin was glowing. She'd filled out a little, and she was standing there looking like a painting come to life. Apparently, my face has been getting an upgrade along with my stats, because Saga looked at me and immediately turned into a nervous wreck. Girl came here specifically to find me, but she's acting like she bumped into a celebrity at the grocery store. What's up, Saga? You need something? Clan? Me and Winnie's group are taking a D-rank mission. Want to come with us? What kind of mission? Goblin extermination. We need to wipe out a goblin nest, about 100 of them. 5-person team. It's not that hard. Interested? Obviously I'm interested. First mission ever, and doing it with a team is way safer than going solo. But I did wonder, where are these goblins even coming from? King's Academy covers the whole island, doesn't it? Are these wild goblins? Did someone make them? Actually, the island probably has some untouched wilderness areas. That tracks. Sure, I'm in. When do we leave? Tomorrow. Works for me. Saga looked relieved. And also a little too happy. Subtle, girl. Real subtle. I went to tell Quinn about it. What? You're taking a mission? Yes, mister. Quinn. He thought about it for a second. Actually, yeah, you're ready. Your strength is already about half of mine. Half of a teacher's strength, and I'm still a first year. Quinn was looking at me like he was trying to figure out if I had a secret second talent. Which, I do, but he doesn't need to know that. Then, right as I was about to leave, Quinn stared at my face and dropped this bomb. You know, you should consider finding a wealthy marriage partner. I'm sorry, what? I'm serious. Your growth speed is insane. You're going to burn through resources eventually. But if you find a rich spouse, your future gets a lot easier. This man is telling me to find a sugar mommy. Where is this coming from? Quinn suddenly got this faraway look in his eyes. Like he was remembering something painful. Oh no, this man has backstory. He's got regrets. Forget it, forget it. That was dumb of me. I'm just projecting because my own life didn't go so great. You're different. Pretend I didn't say anything. Looking at his face, I could tell. Quinn has been through some stuff. But instead of digging into his trauma, I just said what I actually felt. Mr. Quinn, I won't forget everything you've done for me. I mean that. and I did mean it. Sure, he started teaching me as a favor to Mr. Wisha. But the medicine baths? The expensive herbs floating in those tubs? He didn't have to do that. I've been studying potion courses, and I can recognize some of those ingredients now. They are not cheap. For a guy at Quinn's level, that's a serious chunk of his savings. I'll remember this debt. Kid, stop being sentimental and go train. You've got stuff to do. I nodded and left. But I didn't go to class. Instead, I headed to the shopping district. I've been sitting on my points this whole time and haven't spent a single one. Tomorrow's mission means I need gear. The church's commercial street had two types of shops: official stores and student-run shops. Official stores guarantee authentic products with refund policies. Student shops are basically gambling. If you've got a sharp eye, you can find amazing deals. If you don't, you eat the loss and cry alone. I know exactly how sharp my eye is. It's not. So I walked straight to the official store without a second thought. The moment the shop girl saw the Viscount badge on my chest, she was on me like a retail missile. Welcome, esteemed Viscount student. What can I help you find? I'm a freshman, taking my first mission tomorrow, so I need supplies. What do you recommend? When she heard freshman and Viscount, her eyes practically sparkled. She's also a King's Academy student, so she knows exactly how rare it is for a freshman to already have a Viscount rank. That means I got first place in my exam district. Translation: this kid has potential, don't make him mad. A hunting mission? What kind of monster? Goblins. Goblins. Perfect first target. With your strength, they shouldn't be much trouble. Let me recommend some potions. She pulled out a little bottle. This is an energy potion. If you're exhausted from traveling, one sip and you're fully refreshed. Only 1 point each. She opened a sample bottle and held it under my nose. Just one sniff and the tiredness from this morning's training melted away like it was never there. Okay, I'm buying these. This stuff works better than coffee. Way better than coffee. One sniff and I'm already sold. Good stuff. What else you got? Give me 5 of those energy potions. Certainly. Next we have basic healing potions. Pour it on a wound and it closes up fast. 3 points each. 2 of those. An insect repellent powder. Sprinkle it around your campsite at night, and it keeps away snakes, bugs, and mosquitoes. 1 point per pack, 3 uses each, 2 packs. This girl was a professional saleswoman. By the time she was done with me, I'd spent over 100 points. But honestly, everything she recommended was genuinely useful. No regrets. That'll be 105 points. Thank you so much. My name is Stassi. Please ask for me next time. Yeah, I'll definitely be back. Good service, good products. We're cool. After the shopping spree, I headed straight to the forging classroom. I'd booked a session with an actual forge master tonight. The guy, Tasola, walked in, looked at me without any particular reaction, and just said, "Ask whatever you want. If I can answer it, I will. No small talk. No pleasantries." I like this man. Mr. Tasola. Every time I try to forge lightning attribute, or I can't control the energy, and it explodes. Why? He nodded, which I took as a good sign. At least my question wasn't embarrassingly basic. Are you heating it with the standard method? No. I add earth powder to suppress the lightning energy. Then it's either not enough powder or the quality is too low. The earth powder needs to be about half the weight of the lightning, or too little and the energy runs wild. Too much and you drain some of the ore's power, which makes the final product weaker. That made perfect sense. Is there any way to salvage a failed forge? Technically yes, but don't bother. The materials you'd waste on salvaging cost more than just starting over, and the result would still be garbage. Treat every single forge attempt like it's the most important one you'll ever do. No second chances. I nodded hard. This man speaks truth. We spent 3 more hours together, and I learned an absolute TON. My plan now is to digest everything on my own, practice, and come back to him when I hit new problems. Tasola never actually saw me forge anything, since lessons this expensive are usually just Q&A. You ask your questions, then go practice on your own time. But with tomorrow's mission, I skipped practice and went straight to bed. Congratulations. Constitution 1. Same as yesterday, another Constitution point. That brings me to 46. My body is turning into a tank. Next morning, I headed to the church gates, filled out the departure paperwork, and finally stepped outside. And I don't know why, but the air just felt fresher out here. Like I'd been breathing recycled church air for weeks and didn't even notice. Outside the church compound was a massive city. I still didn't even know what it was called. Everyone walking around looked young. All students, by the looks of it. Then it hit me. These people must be the commoners. Most students who enter the academy start at either commoner or slave rank. When they noticed the Viscount badge on my chest, every single one of them immediately looked away and lowered their heads. To them, a Viscount can decide whether they live or die. That's kind of messed up, actually. Weirdly, though, I didn't see any slaves on the streets. Which is strange, because there should be more slaves than commoners. Where are they all? Something feels off about that. Before I could think too hard about it, I spotted Saga and the team. The squad was me, Saga, Winnie, Gato, and Devin the Stone Giant. All familiar faces from the entrance exam. The second Gato and Devin saw me, their eyes sharpened up. Yeah, they remember. I might have gotten lucky during the exam, but I still came out on top of our entire class. They're not about to let their guard down around me. Long time no see, I walked up with a smile. Yeah, long time. They were sizing me up. I could tell they noticed something was different. My vibe was calmer, more composed, and they could feel that I'd gotten stronger. But we were teammates now, so nobody was about to start a sparring match in the middle of the street. We heading out now? No objections here. Everyone agreed, and Saga took the lead toward the city gates. While we walked, she started giving me the tour. Clan, do you know what this city is called? No idea. This is Holy Light City. It's the capital of the church's 12 cities. And this island we're on? It's so big it's basically not even an island anymore. It's a whole continent. A continent? I thought this was just a big school island. Seeing my reaction, Saga kept going. King's Academy was built by all the empires and kingdoms together. Every nation has its own territory here. But even with all those countries, they still haven't claimed the whole landmass. There's deserts, forests, and wild zones everywhere. And because the magic density on this continent is so high, monsters breed fast. If you don't clear them out regularly, they multiply into massive hordes, so that's where the goblins come from. This place isn't just a school. It's a whole ecosystem that actively tries to eat you. Fun. So are we heading into some giant forest? Saga shook her head. No, we're just going to a village near Holy Light City. Goblins have been showing up in big numbers lately, destroying rice fields and kidnapping girls. We need to take them out. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's exactly what goblins do. Then Winnie came running up beside me. Even though she's been eating better since coming to the academy, this girl is still skinny as a stick. Pale white skin, legs thinner than my ARMS, looking like a little white radish that learned how to walk. I frowned, reached into my backpack, and pulled out a piece of bread. Eat this. She looked confused. Apparently she'd been trying to find me this whole time and couldn't figure out where I lived. So she'd been going back to the old arena every single day, just waiting to see if I'd show up. That's actually kind of sad and adorable. She took the bread with both hands and started nibbling on it in tiny little bites. Something about the way she did it was so ridiculously cute that I couldn't help myself. I reached over and ruffled her hair, like she was my daughter or something. She smiled this big, innocent smile and nuzzled her head into my hand like a puppy. This child is going to be the death of me. Have you not been eating properly? Why are you still this thin? She swallowed her bread real quick. No, I eat every day. It's just, my talent won't let me. Because of my ability, I can only get proper nutrition from drinking blood. But I really hate doing that. Oh, that's actually awful. Her talent literally forces her to drink blood to survive, and she hates it. The more I think about it, the more I realize powerful talents aren't just gifts. They're curses too. Starting from B-rank talents, the side effects start showing up. The stronger the power, the bigger the price. I looked over at Saga. What about you? Does your talent have a downside? Kind of a rude question to just throw out there, but I knew she'd answer. Yeah, she nodded. My teacher told me that wing people have a mental flaw. We're really pure-hearted, and we get extremely fixated on things. Then she stared directly at me with those burning eyes. Okay, I don't need her to spell out what she's fixated on. Message received. Loud and clear. A mental side effect, huh? I don't know if that's good or bad. If she channeled that obsession into training, it could be amazing. But she's clearly not channeling it into training. I glanced over at Devin and Gato, wondering what their side effects were. They're both B-rank though, so it probably isn't anything too crazy. Devin, meanwhile, was not having a good time. He was fuming because both girls in the squad were hovering around me. Is it because I'm handsome? Yes. Yes, it is. But he couldn't accept that. See, back in the old days, Devin was too busy starving to think about anything besides food. But now that he's eating 3 meals a day at the academy, his brain has moved on to other interests. He's been eyeing the girls at the church, thinking his status should make them come to him. And his real targets? Saga and Winnie, girls with talent way above his own. His logic was simple. One's too pure, one's too naive. Should be easy pickings. Except both his easy targets are currently orbiting around another guy. No wonder he looks like he swallowed a lemon. So he marched right over with zero grace. Hey, what are you guys talking about? I'm curious too. My talent doesn't have any flaws, by the way. Pretty different from you guys. The awkward silence that followed could have killed a man. What is this dude doing? No flaws. Buddy, your talent turns you into a stone giant. You know what stone giants are? Slow. Once levels go up and fights get serious, you're a punching bag with legs. I wanted to roast him so bad, but held it in. Team fights and internal drama don't mix. Gato, on the other hand, couldn't care less about any of this. He was staring lovingly at his spear like it was his girlfriend. His talent is Weapon Master. He can pick up any weapon and master it fast. He'd switched from swords to spears recently, and apparently he'd gotten so good he could hear the air crack when he thrust. But since nobody had seen his spear skills yet, we all just let him do his thing. Devin noticed nobody was paying attention to him and got even more annoyed. Hey clan, how did you manage to get first place with just a C-rank talent anyway? I've gotten a lot stronger since then. Want to spar? I looked at him. Cold. Even someone with the reaction speed of a brick could tell this guy was picking a fight on purpose. Over on the side, Winnie and Saga were getting ready to play peacemaker. But Gato? Gato's ears perked up. He wanted to see how strong I'd gotten too. I kept my face completely blank. Sure. I'm also curious how much you've grown. Devin looked surprised. He actually didn't expect me to say yes. He probably thought I'd back down, because surely my trash C-rank talent couldn't keep up with him after a whole month of training. Oh buddy, you have no idea. Devin was practically vibrating with excitement. In his little fantasy, he was about to beat me up in front of Saga and Winnie, and both girls would fall madly in love with him. That's adorable. Really, truly adorable. I looked at his goofy, grinning face, and my expression went cold. Some people need to get educated the hard way before they understand where they stand in the food chain. And let me be clear, if this guy doesn't shape up after this, then one of us is leaving this team. And it's not going to be me. Everyone spread out to keep watch while we squared off. Devin transformed immediately. No warning, no countdown. Just boom, giant stone man. He was bigger than before, his rock armor was thicker, and he charged at me like a runaway boulder. But his speed? Barely improved. If anything, the bigger body made him even clumsier. I didn't even bother activating lightning body. Didn't pull out the flash thunder sword either. Instead, I grabbed a big heavy iron bar. The second he got close, I swung that bar right into his shoulder. The stone armor shattered on impact, and the force went straight through. Devin dropped to one knee. Then I cracked him across the head. His whole skull twisted sideways. Stone chunks flew everywhere. And then I just kept going. Forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand. Like I was playing tennis, except the ball was Devin's face. Bonk, 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 bonk. I could see Winnie and the others staring with their mouths hanging open. This was supposed to be a spar, not a one-sided beatdown. The script was all wrong for them. The only reason Devin's head was still attached was because his earth magic kept regenerating the stone armor. Without it, his skull would be in pieces right now. Thud. Devin's massive body crashed to the ground like a felled tree. He was out. The stone armor crumbled off him and underneath. His face was swollen beyond recognition. Blood everywhere. Couldn't even tell what he originally looked like. I looked down at him, and even I was a little surprised. Those rocks really didn't protect him as well as I thought they would. I think I went a little overboard. So, what now? Gato answered without a shred of emotion. Send him back. He can't do the mission like this. 4 of us should be enough. Cold. Ice cold. But fair. Devin started this fight, and Gato clearly picked up on the fact that Devin's motives weren't about testing my strength. They were about something a lot more pathetic. Winnie and Saga didn't object either. We dropped Devin off and got back on the road. After that little demonstration, The team leadership quietly shifted to me. Nobody discussed it. Nobody voted. It just happened. Gato was staring at me the whole time with this intense look. He couldn't believe how much stronger I'd gotten in just 1 month. And he knew I wasn't even going all out. I didn't use lightning body, didn't use my real sword, and still almost killed Devin, who's roughly the same level as him. The gap between us had gotten bigger, not smaller. I could see him silently making a vow to himself. Once he awakened his spear soul, he'd challenge me for real. But for now, he knew he couldn't win. We moved fast and reached the target village before dark. The place was a mess. Broken fences, trampled crops, every single door shut tight. It looked like a village that had given up on hope and was just waiting to die. I realized all the camping supplies I bought were probably unnecessary since we had actual houses to sleep in. Well, they'd come in handy some other time. Hello? Anyone here? We're here to deal with the goblins. A door creaked open nearby. A few villagers shuffled out. Thin, malnourished, yellow hair, terrible skin. They looked like they hadn't had a proper meal in months. This world is brutal. The commoners in King's Academy territory have to pay massive taxes every month. After paying up, they barely have enough food left. And on top of that, they get attacked by monsters constantly. It's misery piled on top of misery. Compared to this place, the church compound is literal paradise. My lords, you've come. Let me prepare a place for you to stay. The lead villager practically fell over himself welcoming us. He brought us to the biggest house in the village, the village chief's place. The chief was the only knight-class fighter in the whole village. Young guy, maybe mid-20s, dark skin, but in better shape than the rest of the villagers. He could hold his own in a fight, but against an entire goblin horde? Way outnumbered. Please stay here tonight, my lords. If things go as usual, those beasts will attack the village again tonight. I nodded. Time to go goblin hunting. Then a baby started crying inside the house. The village chief jumped up immediately. Sorry, my kid's crying again. I need to go take care of him. Eyeing, look after our guests. A little girl stepped forward. Yes, father. She was so well-behaved it almost hurt to watch. These kids born inside King's Academy territory. What happens to them when they grow up? Do they leave? Do they stay? The academy has only existed for about 40 years, so the oldest person born here would be 39 at most. I couldn't figure it out. Little Eyeing led us to our rooms. Nothing fancy, but clean and spacious. Someone had clearly put effort into tidying up. Coming from the backgrounds we all had, none of us were about to complain. I'd barely sat down when someone knocked on my door. I opened it and found Saga, Winnie, and Gato all standing there like a welcoming committee. Clan, let's all wait in your room. That way when the monsters show up, we can move together. Made sense. No objections. Winnie tilted her head. Clan, do you think goblins are strong? No idea. Never fought one. In video games from my past life, goblins were basically walking EXP bags. But the books here told a different story. Most goblins are weak, sure. But because they breed like crazy, some goblin groups develop mutant variants. Monsters several times, or even dozens of times stronger than regular goblins. And since King's Academy has insanely dense magic energy, the mutation rate here is way higher than normal. One group could have multiple mutants. Was I scared? No. I was excited. Finally, real combat. Life or death stuff. My only concern was whether these goblins would be enough to satisfy me. Yeah, I know that's not a normal reaction. Most people would be nervous. But something deep inside me was thrumming, like a caged animal about to be let loose. Night fell. We were chilling in the room when suddenly, noise. Screaming. Crashing. They're here. We grabbed our weapons and burst outside. It was dark, but I could see dozens of short black shadows scrambling through the village. And the smell. Oh God, the smell. Like a dumpster had a baby with a sewer. Among those short shadows, there were a few big ones. Those had to be the mutant variants. Like the torches, the villagers scrambled and lit up everything they had. Lamps, torches, anything with a flame. Finally I could see, and I immediately wished I couldn't. These goblins looked exactly like the books described. Short, ugly, fat bellies, stick-thin limbs, and a stench that could knock out a horse. What is even the point of this species existing? I drew my flash thunder sword. One swing. One goblin. Cut clean in half. Gato pulled out his spear and skewered 2 goblins at once like a kebab. Okay, the spear switch was a good call. Winnie took to the air and became a ghost in the darkness. Her combat power at night was on a completely different level. All I could see was a black blur weaving through the goblin horde, leaving corpses in her wake. Saga went airborne too, raining down ranged magic attacks. Her control had gotten way better. Each blast took out multiple goblins. In just 1 month, everyone on this team had leveled up significantly. But the goblins were tearing through the village fast. Every second we wasted meant more damage. Time to stop holding back. Lightning body on. My speed exploded. The flash thunder sword was a blur in my hands. 3, 4, 5 goblins split in half within seconds. Cutting through them felt like slicing tofu. 0 resistance. It was almost too easy. Then the 3 mutant giants noticed us. We were kind of hard to miss, what with all the goblins slaughtering. They decided to come deal with us personally. The first giant goblin charged straight at me. This thing was massive, but unlike Devon's clunky stone form, this monster was fast. Its speed was way above a normal goblin's, and the power difference was enormous. I didn't underestimate it. The second it got close, I went full force, 1 clean slash aimed at its neck. The blade bit deep, cutting from the throat all the way down to the collarbone before stopping. Couldn't cut all the way through. Its bones were ridiculously hard. I ripped the sword out immediately. Blood erupted from the gash like a broken fire hydrant. Ag! The giant goblin let out this ear-splitting screech that felt like it was trying to physically destroy my eardrums. I actually flinched for a second. I didn't expect something that ugly to also sound like a demon being tortured in hell. But I recovered fast. No time to be grossed out. The other 2 giant goblins turned to look, but I wasn't about to show mercy just because this one was screaming. The instant I pulled my sword free, I drove it straight into the thing's right eye. Die! The flash thunder sword punched through the eyeball and came out the back of its skull. The screaming stopped immediately. The massive body crashed to the ground like a sack of ugly potatoes. I didn't go near the corpse though. Monsters have crazy life force. For all I knew, that thing could still get back up. So I moved on and kept slaughtering regular goblins. 1 giant variant down. 2 to go. On the other side, Gato was fighting the second giant. His spear technique was sharp. First strike aimed right at the throat, textbook precision. But unlike me, Gato's raw stats weren't high enough. The giant goblin actually reacted in time and blocked with its massive wooden club. 1 hit from that club knocked the spear clean out of Gato's hands. He looked down. The skin on his palms was ripped off, blood everywhere. These giant goblins were way stronger than any of us expected. And yet I'd just killed one like it was nothing. I could see Gato freeze for a second, processing that gap between us. He snapped out of it and dove for his spear on the ground. But the giant goblin was already swinging its club down at his head. When he saw it happening, she could already picture Gato's skull getting crushed like a watermelon. And oh, I didn't think. I gathered every bit of magic I had left, focused it into my flash thunder sword, and threw it. The lightning-wrapped blade flew across the battlefield and pierced straight through the giant goblin's neck. Clean through. The monster's eyes went wide with disbelief, mouth opening and closing, but no sound coming out. Then it collapsed. I exhaled. That was close. Gato turned and stared at me. He'd just been 1 second away from death, and I'd saved him with a thrown sword from across the field. I could see the gears turning in his head. Should he still consider me a rival to surpass? Or does he owe me his life now? The last giant goblin saw its 2 buddies go down and went berserk. It charged straight at me, screaming with rage. One problem, I just threw my sword. I had no weapon, and that throw burned through most of my remaining magic. I had just barely enough to keep lightning body running. This was not great. The thing swung its massive club at me like it wanted to turn me into a pancake. Its mouth was wide open, screeching, and the smell that came out. I dodged the club easily enough, but I could not dodge the breath. That thing's mouth smelled like something died inside another thing that also died. I nearly passed out from the stench alone. But I wasn't panicking. I remembered what Quinn taught me. When fighting monsters, make them angry. A raging beast hits harder, but loses all technique. Every attack becomes predictable. Every swing becomes full of openings. So I did the most dishonorable thing possible. I kicked it right between the legs. AAGH. The giant goblin scream could probably be heard from Holy Light City. It was furious now, completely lost its mind. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. Every swing became wild and telegraphed. Huge motions, no feints, no variation. I could see each attack coming a mile away. After dodging its second wild swing, I drove my bare fist straight into its liver. Even without a weapon, lightning body made my stats absolutely insane. The punch hit like a sledgehammer. The giant goblin dropped to its knees, paralyzed by the pain. I didn't stop. Eyes, throat, heart. I hit every weak point I could reach, over and over, barehanded. It was less of a fight and more of a public execution. Gato and the others were staring at me with their mouths open. The regular goblins? They watched their giant leader get slowly dismantled by a teenager's bare hands and decided this was not worth it. They started running. I finished it by ripping the giant goblin's throat out with my hand. I was covered head to toe in sticky, disgusting blood. I looked at the fleeing goblins and dropped out of lightning body. What are you standing around for? Chase them. Find the nest. That snapped everyone out of it. They took off after the runners. I went back and pulled my flash thunder sword out of the dead giant's neck, then went around and cut the heads off all 3 giant goblins, just to be safe. Then I followed the team. Behind us, the villagers finally crept outside. They saw the battlefield, goblin corpses everywhere, blood soaking into the dirt. For a moment, everything was silent. Then one person started crying, and then everyone was crying. Not from sadness, from relief. These people had been terrorized every single night, living in constant fear. And now, in one evening, their nightmare was over. I chugged an energy potion and a small mana potion at the same time. Instant recovery, stamina back, magic slowly refilling. These potions were worth every single point I spent. We followed the fleeing goblins at a steady pace. They led us straight to the edge of a forest. A dark, nighttime forest full of who knows what kind of monsters. Nobody hesitated. We walked right in. I drank another mana potion just to be safe, getting my magic reserves back to about 70%. Something in my gut told me there'd be something nastier waiting at the nest. And honestly, that feeling made me more excited, not less. The giant goblins were strong, sure, but way too slow. Zero threat to me. I wanted a real fight. After all that killing back in the village, I wasn't tired at all. I was pumped. Something inside me just wanted to keep going. Kill more. Fight harder. I didn't want to think too hard about what that said about me. We tracked the goblins to a cave entrance leading underground. The tunnel was wide, clearly built to fit the giant variants. But inside was pure darkness. It looked like a giant mouth waiting to swallow us whole. What do we do? Go in. I was about to ask everyone's opinion when I noticed Saga. She was shaking. Every muscle in her body was screaming, I don't want to go in there. She had some kind of fear of dark enclosed spaces. Then I looked at Winnie. This girl's eyes were practically glowing with excitement. Darkness was her element. She was born for this. Here's the plan. Not everyone needs to go in. We should leave someone outside to watch the exit. Saga's flying ability won't work in a tight cave, and she doesn't get any power boost at night. Saga, you stay out here and keep watch for us. Saga froze. She'd already been mentally preparing herself to force her way in despite the terror. And now she didn't have to? I could see the relief wash over her face. She was probably thinking I noticed her fear and was being considerate. And okay, maybe I was a little bit. But mostly I was worried she'd panic inside and become a liability for the team. I won't admit the caring part out loud, though. Gato thought it over. Makes sense. Wing people are strongest in open air. She'd be limited underground. I'm fine with it. Winnie nodded. Me too. I turned to Saga with what I hoped was a reassuring look. You good being out here alone? Yes. And if you guys run into trouble, just yell. I'll come rushing in to save you, I promise. I smiled. Deal. If we're in danger, we'll be counting on you. She stared at that smile like she was trying to photograph it with her brain. Gato noticed and shot me a suspicious look, like I was some kind of dangerous weapon that could capture hearts without even trying. He couldn't tell if I was doing it on purpose. Neither could I, honestly. All right, enough stalling. Let's go. The 3 of us lit torches and walked into the darkness. I glanced back once and saw Saga watching us until the firelight faded completely and the cave swallowed us up. Inside was miserable. The torches barely cut through the darkness. The air was thick, hot, and smelled like something between a garbage dump and a public toilet. Just breathing in here made me want to gag. The fact that goblins actually lived in this environment proved they were the most disgusting creatures on the planet. We pressed forward slowly. Then Winnie grabbed both my shirt and Gato's shirt at the same time. I immediately understood. She'd spotted something. We slowed our steps and crept forward carefully. The torchlight finally reached what she'd seen. 2 bodies. Girls. Naked. They were already dead. Their bodies were covered in bruises and wounds, barely recognizable as human anymore. The smell was beyond anything I could describe. And the wounds on their stomachs. I swear, this was the most horrifying, most enraging thing I had ever seen. These animals. I couldn't even imagine what these girls went through before they died. I knew what goblins did. I'd read about it. But reading about it and seeing it are 2 completely different things. A wave of pure fury hit me, so hard my vision almost went red. But I forced myself to calm down. Quinn's voice echoed in my head. The angrier you are, the calmer you need to be. Learn to use your anger. The fire inside me didn't cool down even a little. I just put a lid on it. Gatto and Winnie felt it too. It didn't matter that we didn't know these girls. They were our people. Seeing them treated like this by these creatures. Any human being with a pulse would feel the same rage. Keep moving, I said. My voice came out cold as ice. Nobody spoke. They just followed. The deeper we went, the more bodies we found. Each one worse than the last. My anger kept building and building with every step. Finally, we reached the main chamber. Found them. A goblin shrieked and launched itself at my face. I caught it midair with one hand. My grip tightened. The thing screamed and thrashed, staring at me with pure terror. I squeezed harder. My veins were bulging out of my arm. Crack, crack, crack. Its body twisted and compressed in my fist like a crushed can. It screamed until it couldn't scream anymore. I channeled lightning through my hand. The goblin exploded. Every goblin watching immediately froze. To them, I wasn't a human anymore. I was a monster, worse than anything they'd ever seen. They didn't want to come near me. Too bad. I wasn't giving them a choice. Lightning body activated. I charged into the swarm and started swinging the flash thunder sword like a man possessed. Limbs flew. Blood sprayed. Body parts scattered across the cave floor like confetti at the world's worst party. Not a single goblin could survive one swing. The cave turned into a slaughterhouse. Winnie and Gatto joined in, and together we carved through these creatures with zero mercy. Then a different screech cut through the chaos. Louder, sharper, more dangerous. I looked up and saw something new. This goblin was about 2 meters tall, same height as the giant variants from earlier. But it was completely different. Where the giants were bulky and slow, this thing was lean, long-limbed, and clearly fast. It carried an iron spear, wore leather armor, and radiated a kind of killing intent that made the hair on my neck stand up. This one was trouble. I knew it immediately. It saw the carnage in its cave and started screeching. Then it charged, straight at Gatto, the closest target. My eyes went wide. This thing's speed was almost as fast as MY base speed. For something that big, that was terrifying. Gatto barely had time to raise his spear before the mutant was on him. But at the last second, the goblin changed its attack mid-thrust, converting the stab into a downward slam. The iron spear came crashing down like a sledgehammer. Gatto found the best blocking angle in a split second, impressive reflexes, and caught the blow with his spear held horizontally overhead. His weapon bent into an arc so extreme I thought it would snap. But the magic-forged metal held. Gatto's legs didn't hold, though. His knees buckled, and he dropped to the ground. I heard the sickening crack of bones fracturing. I was already sprinting toward them. If I didn't get there now, Gatto was dead. The mutant goblin looked down at Gatto with cold, calculating eyes. It raised its spear for the finishing blow. A black crescent blade came flying out of nowhere. Winnie's attack. The mutant sensed the danger and dodged, but not completely. The blade carved through its right shoulder, armor and flesh and all, nearly severing the arm. It grabbed its wounded arm and screamed. But that moment of distraction was all I needed. I was already in its face. Sword aimed at the throat. It dodged on pure instinct, but not clean enough. My blade scraped across its neck, ripping the skin open. Foul-smelling blood gushed out. Now it was angry. The pain seemed to disappear from its body as rage took over. It attacked me like a berserker, swinging that iron spear with one good arm and raw fury. This thing was fast. I was faster, but not by enough to dodge everything cleanly. So I blocked instead. Our weapons clashed over and over, the metallic ringing echoing through the cave like thunderclaps. For the first time in a long while, I was getting pushed back. This monster's raw power was on par with the giant goblins, maybe even higher. packed into a body that could actually move. Every hit rattled through my arms and shook my stance. The mutant paused for a second, genuinely confused. It couldn't understand how a human this small was blocking its attacks. By all logic, I should have been sent flying. But confusion doesn't last long in a fight. It came at me again, harder, faster, more desperate. In its mind, I was the most dangerous thing in this cave. It wasn't wrong. The longer I fought this mutant goblin, the more shocked I was. This thing didn't just have insane stats, it was smart. Its attacks had actual martial arts technique behind them. Relentless combos with zero gaps, suffocating pressure. This wasn't a dumb monster. This was a warrior. Meanwhile, Gato finally dragged himself back to his feet on broken legs. He could barely fight regular goblins now, let alone anything serious. He managed to kill two, and then one snuck up behind him and slashed his back. He spun around and skewered it, but the damage was done. The other goblins smelled weakness and started swarming him. Winnie swooped in to cover him, but she couldn't help me because my fight with the mutant was too close quarters. One stray attack from her could hit me instead. Back to my duel. The mutant's iron spear was starting to warp from clashing with my flash thunder sword. Its weapon was clearly inferior quality. It would snap soon. But this thing was too angry to care. All it wanted was to kill the human who dared invade its home. And me? I was getting more excited by the second. This was what I'd been craving. An enemy at my level. A real life-or-death battle where one mistake means death. This is where growth happens. Our emotions were spiraling in opposite directions. The more excited I got, the sharper my mind became. The angrier the mutant got, the dumber it fought. Its coordinated technique dissolved into mindless rage. Predictable swings. Obvious patterns. If Quinn could see me right now, he'd notice my swordsmanship was improving in real time. Too bad I hadn't learned a proper lightning element sword technique. If I had, tonight would have been a breakthrough moment. The basic sword style from the lightning attraction technique was doing fine, but it wasn't enough to maximize what I was learning. 3 minutes later, I felt it. The mutant's power was fading. I looked at it, covered in wounds, standing in a pool of its own green blood, eyes glazed with exhaustion, movements getting slower and slower. I drove my sword straight through its heart. The mutant froze. Its attacks stopped completely. I ripped the blade out. It stumbled backward, hands clutching its chest, the light in its eyes fading. I walked up and stabbed it through the throat. It stopped breathing. I didn't cut off its head, though. Mutant goblins have high medicinal value. They're premium potion ingredients. This body plus the 3 giant goblins from earlier should be worth a lot of points back at the academy. I turned to the remaining goblins. The cave floor was already covered in corpses, but there were still some alive. I kept killing. Then I spotted a few baby goblins huddled in a corner, shaking. A scene from a manga I read in my past life flashed through my mind. What did the main character do in that situation again? I skewered them like kebabs, one after another. Green blood everywhere. They cried and screamed, but I kept going without flinching. Oh right, that's exactly what the main character did too. The only good goblin is one that never shows up in front of people. We killed every single goblin in that nest. Every last one. Then we searched deeper and found 6 girls, still alive. But alive was a generous word. Their clothes were torn. Their expressions were blank. Most of them just stared at nothing, completely broken. Do you want to come outside? I asked, as gently as I could manage. 2 of them looked at me. When they realized I was human, tears started pouring down their faces. The other 4 didn't react at all, like their minds were already gone. I couldn't fix what happened to them. All I could do was get them out of this hellhole and let them decide what to do with their lives from here. The 3 of us carried the mutant's corpse and led the 6 girls out of the cave. Saga was waiting outside, alert and ready. I noticed 2 dead beasts near the entrance. She'd been busy too. Good girl. When she saw us, the relief on her face was obvious. Then she saw Gato, covered in his own blood, limping badly, and her expression shifted to concern. I had some cuts too, but nothing serious. Winnie was basically untouched thanks to her speed. The 6 girls behind us looked heartbreaking. There's no other word for it. It was way too late to travel back now, and Gato was in no shape to walk. I made the call. We camp here tonight. Saga and Winnie nodded. Gato didn't argue. I'd saved his life in there, so whatever I said was law now. The 2 girls who still had some awareness heard, sleep near the goblin cave, and their eyes went wide with terror. Hey, it's okay, I said quickly. Every goblin in there is dead. All of them. You're safe now. Just rest tonight. The girls listened to me without question. Good. First things first. I sprinkled insect repellent powder around our campsite, then grabbed my healing potions and walked over to Gato. Lie down. I'm treating your wounds. He hesitated. You're hurt too. Use them on yourself first. Shut up. I popped open the healing potion and poured it directly onto his wounds. HNNGH. Yeah, that sounded like it hurt. But I didn't stop. I used up every single potion I had on this guy until all his wounds were closed, then wrapped him up with basic bandages. Gato didn't say thank you. He didn't need to. I could see it in his eyes. This man just decided his life belongs to me now. If I told him to walk into a fire tomorrow, he'd ask which direction. That's how it works for kids who grew up with nothing. One act of kindness, and they'll remember you forever. I would know. After patching up Gato, I went over to the girls. I'm terrible at comforting people. Absolutely useless. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I pulled out some bread. When I used to feel miserable, eating something always helped. The worst pain I ever knew growing up was hunger. Worse than getting beaten. Worse than anything. An empty stomach is a special kind of torture. Eat something. It'll make you feel better. One of the girls looked up at me. Something in her eyes shifted. She took the bread, took a tiny bite, and then started shoving it in her mouth desperately. Then she threw it all up. Of course she did. These girls hadn't eaten in who knows how long. Their bodies couldn't handle food anymore. Looking at the vomited bread